Well, hey, SKB family, how you doing? Luke here with you. Welcome to the end of October. Hard to believe, but October has come and gone, and we are now looking into November. Crazy, crazy. This month has flown by, but I hope you've had a good October. And as we think about looking ahead towards the Christmas season and the busyness of ministry that happens there, I know that many of us are moving towards that season with a limp. We are limping out of summer into the fall, and we're limping into Christmas. I was away last week at a church planning conference, and one of the things they were talking about was how do we process and work through all that we've been through over the past 19 months? How do we move forward through that as leaders and pastors? And one of the tools that God has given us to help us move through all that we've experienced, all the suffering and pain and conflict that we've gone through, is the spiritual practice of lament. Now, I don't know about you, but I've never ever heard a sermon on lament. I never really looked into lament. I know we have a book in the Bible called Lamentations, and it's around lament, but I haven't looked into it at all. And I heard a message by Pastor Brett Landry that dealt with the spiritual practice of lament, and it was just unreal. And I wish I recorded it so I could share it with you. They did not. So I'm just going to give you a brief picture into what he talked about. He talked about lament being a way that we process our pain and grief. It's a way that leads us to God and to process our suffering and pain in a biblical way. And he had 4 ways that lament works in our lives. And he got this out of Psalm 13, 1 to 5. And so he said the 4 ways that lament works is, number 1, it moves us towards God. Number 2, it moves us from silently suffering to voicing our pain. Number 3, it moves us from quiet resignation to bold request. And number 4, it moves us from struggling in doubt to resting in trust. And I just thought that was really key. And he recommended a book to us I want to recommend to you. If you're struggling with suffering and pain and just hurt right now in this season, I'm going to recommend this book to you. I want you to go on Amazon and buy it. If you can't afford it, give me an email and I'll buy it for you. It's called Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy. And it's all about the role of lament in our lives as Christians, but in particular as church leaders. So I want to encourage you to check out that book if you're just struggling right now in this season. All right, I'm praying for you. I'm praying that God would just provide for you and give you the energy and the focus and the ability to process what you've gone through and what you're facing right now. A couple of things I want to remind you of. November 2nd, we are having a Zoom call at 1 p.m. talking with Jason Kovacs. Jason, as you probably got the email, he's going to be working with us. He's a biblical counselor. I love Jason. I really have a high regard of him and his work, and I'm excited for you guys to get to know him a little bit more through the Zoom call. And if you are struggling right now with ministry and the weight of it all, I really encourage you after this Zoom call to set up an appointment with him and have a few conversations about the stress and the pain of ministry and begin to work through that. So November 2nd, 1 p.m., a Zoom call with Jason. The other thing I want to let you know is that we have a brand new podcast coming out. It's actually already come out on the Future Church podcast, and it's around discipleship and the role of preaching in discipleship. And I sat down with Blair Allen. He's a pastor at the Compass East Church, and we sat down and talked through how preaching works within the local church when it comes to discipleship. And it's a great conversation, some great tips when it comes to preaching and how we can grow in that area as me and Blair talk through that. So I really want to encourage you to listen to that. And then in the upcoming weeks, there's going to be another one coming out with Murray from Grace Fellowship in Saskatoon. And we talk about a new resource that their church developed called the Good News Story, and how that resource can be used in local churches to help with the act or the work of discipleship. So that will be coming out in the upcoming weeks. So be looking out for that. So those are a few things I want to remind you of. Again, the book, Dark Clouds, Deep Mercy, about lament, helping us process the pain and suffering that we've been through so that we can move towards God through that. Really encourage you to look at that. November 2nd, our Zoom call with Jason, and the Future Church podcast, the role of preaching when it comes to discipleship. Hey, SKB family, love you, praying for you. If you have any needs or questions around discipleship, I'd love to connect with you. You can always email me or reach out via phone. I'd love to talk to you about discipleship in your local context. Have a great month of November, and we'll see you later.